Yeah, super excited to be flying on A380 again. Lufthansa A380, where Lufthansa has concentrated A380 operations from Munich because it requires special boarding gates, 2 levels of boarding gates, and all those infrastructure. Yeah, the fantastic. When I was looking outside, the wing is so huge. You know, the ailerons and the flaps, slats, and slots, and so huge, so huge. It's super. I don't know. It's an amazing plane. It always amazes me. Yeah, the fantastic Airbus A380 has just started the takeoff process. So it's just moving out of the stand, I mean the gate. And yeah, the huge wing is so huge. And the sharklets, yeah, only Airbus A380 and Boeing 737 NG, the new generation, has the sharklets, which has huge ailerons and huge flaps and slats. Oh man, too huge really. Massive, insane. Behind is also a lurking one more Lufthansa A380. Yeah, it's not visible, but the wingspan is 79 meters. The wingspan is actually more than the main span. Main span is about 76 meters or something. A wingspan is around 79, close to 80 meters. Yeah, so now it has started the process of taxiing, and we see the two huge engines are roaring. And yeah, so it has just retracted from the gate, and what we see is engines roar. Yeah, oh man, just sweeping off the ground, because there was rain in this place in Munich, so we just see the sweep. Imagine if this engine, the rainwater is coming down. Yeah, oh yeah, I lifted the flaps. Spoilers, huge. Yeah, the Airbus, the howling sound, which is hydraulics. So we see the huge flaps and extending. They're probably having a check on the spoilers and flaps. Another A380 lurking in the background. Yeah, here we see it clearly. AIRBUS is essentially a consortium of a European consortium, and of course it's a company listed on the stock exchange, on the Paris and Amsterdam stock exchanges. But it's a consortium. So, and the making of an A380 is very interesting because it is sourced from many places, and especially from 4 countries in Europe, like France, Germany, UK, Spain. And the interesting story, logistic story of A380 components is the wings. Wings come from Bristol in the UK. Then the engines, which can either be from Rolls-Royce, Trent engines, or Engine Airlines engines. Of course, if they're from Rolls-Royce, they come from the UK, and if they're Engine Airlines, they come from somewhere. And the interesting fact is the wings, and then the main fuselage is made in Hamburg and places near Hamburg, Germany. So from Hamburg, the main fuselage is, because they were so oversized that they would not fit in a beluga aircraft that Airbus regularly ferries parts from its different plants located in Germany, France, Spain, and UK. But this time around, for Airbus A380 is so huge and massive that those fuselages or wings or any of the parts will not fit in the beluga, and so they are transported by water route, actually through sea, from Hamburg and Wales in UK, and then they reach Bordeaux in France, and Bordeaux is a meeting place of 2 rivers, Garonne and Dordogne. And in Bordeaux, what happens is even the horizontal tailplane comes from Spain. So what happens is in Bordeaux, there were 3 ships. Of course, now the production has ceased since 2021 now. And so those 3 ships were City of Hamburg and 2 more. Ciudad was one more. And what happened was those 3 ships would ferry the Airbus fuselage and parts, and then they would meet in Bordeaux. Because the meeting of the Garonne and Dordogne rivers, so it was and there are old bridges on the Garonne river. So the clearance was so less that in Bordeaux they used to change from the ship to the barge, and the barge has to travel under the bridge under sometimes, because we only when the tide is the people who deal and drive those barges know it very well. So they wait for the time, and so that the clearance between the bridge, because the bridges were very old bridges, so they were not so high bridges. They were very pretty normal bridges, but old, So he has to take care of the clearance, and then in the clear, so it has been then it can only be done till the length of about 150 or 200 kilometers around approximately, and then after that they change it to huge trailers, and these trailers are a convoy. They move probably only once in a week, if I am correct, and they used to only move once in a week, and then there was dedicated resting places for this trailer convoys, and once in a week, once they starting move, and there were some villages, like if I remember correctly, the village was called Langon. Near that, negotiating that some small village road in France was very tough, and then it has to be done very meticulously, and then the police also used to take care of that convoy protection, and then finally when all these reached Toulouse from Germany, UK, Spain, in Toulouse, in the Jean-Luc Lagardère assembly plant, they were assembled, and Jean-Luc Lagardère plant is where A380 was assembled. And assembly is an extreme complex process, because all these fuselage sections and wing sections need to be put together, and then they need to be perfectly, and the tolerance is very few millimeters or even less. or even less, I think. And then they need to be put together, and then the whole the wiring, and all those sections need to be put together. There is more than 530 kilometers of wiring in the aircraft, and the aircraft is so critical that so complex. Obviously, millions of parts, and then the ones in Toulouse and the Jean-Luc assembly plant. They used to once its assembly is done, then this need to be painted. The painting job is also very complex for the Airbus A380 because of the height of its tail plane and the general height and general diameter of the plane. So there are many layers of coat paint that are applied in an aircraft. The paint matters because one layer of paint increases the aircraft height. So aircraft is always about the negotiation and tight negotiation and trade-off between weight and space. What is it that you sacrifice? That's the reason aircraft seats are many a times cramped. The reason being space. Space you cannot. Space is a constraint, and then weight is a constraint. So always everything in an aircraft boils down to these two things. For example, there now Emirates has just landed. The A380 has just landed. And because in aircraft everything is about safety, reliability, and trade-off between space and weight. So anything that can save weight is very impossible. That's the reason they have introduced the fiber composites recently in recent aircraft such as 787 or Airbus A350, because the carbon fiber they are lighter and they're stronger than traditional aluminum alloys used in aircraft manufacturing. So once aircraft is painted, and then the delivery, depending upon the different customers, the delivery is either from Toulouse or from Hamburg, and some final finishing and fittings like seats and all these things may also take place at the customer's site, because the customer may want. And then Airbus A380 is the only aircraft in the world that has showers in the shower. Not all 14 operators have them. Only 2 operators, namely Etihad and Emirates, have them. There are 2 showers on the top in the front, and then Etihad also has a 3-roomed called the residence. It's called the residence, and then it's on the left side, and then it's a 3-room. Like you have the sit out with the, and then you have the toilet, and then you have the bed, full bed on the anywhere on the aircraft, and then of course because you have the toilet and the shower. The general rule for the shower is like you can use only up to a maximum of 5 minutes for the shower. The engines are roaring, it's taking off. Love this aircraft A380 takeoff. It's massive thunder actually. Like it's a thunder dragon. Like so I would compare it to something like they call this Victoria Falls as Museo Dunya, the thunder that roars or something. It's a thunder dragon really. And then they were delivered to the customer. Only 251 were ever built, and plus 3 for for testing and manufacturing purposes. Out of which half the fleet is with Emirates, 123 of them with Emirates. Emirates, it works for Emirates because of the hub and spoke model, where 8 hours away from Dubai, or is 2/3 of the world's population is concentrated. So Dubai naturally became a hub, and of course because the government was very proactive, and so though it works well for Emirates, it has taken off, we rotate. So the vortex are seen. It's like huge, massive vortex. And A380, the other plane has to trail by a minimum distance of 20 nautical miles or something, and then because I think 4 minutes or something is the clearance between once an airplane, because the call sign jumbo has to be appended to this, super jumbo, sorry, because it's A380. There are strict rules for taking and landing, takeoff and landing separation, and then of course airport infrastructure has to be modified. It's a beautiful view of München and the Airbus A380 takeoff, and it's really fantastic. And the takeoff landing separations are huge, man. The ailerons, the flaps, the slats, everything is too huge, simply too huge. are the engines. Then Airbus A380, yeah, it's massive. It's a total of about, if fully loaded, it can go up to 575 tons of, it's called the maximum takeoff weight, MTOW. So the MTOW can be 575 tons, which is, I mean, imagine putting 575 tons in the air for 18-19 hours, and it flies, yeah, it can fly non-stop for up to 14,000 odd kilometers. And then, yeah, so, and yeah, only that's the reason only 251 were built, and then of course plus 3 for manufacturing and testing and purposes. So, and half was with Emirates. So what happened during the pandemic was, because it has 4 engines, so it takes up a lot of fuel, and so this A380 is a technical marvel and wonder, but it is only it's only feasible, or economically feasible if the plane is full, and it's also environmentally, so that's very challenging because 4 engines and a lot of emissions. So that's the reason airlines really did buy it in big numbers. I mean, only 14 operators had, or ran the Airbus A380. Recently, one operator, I think Global Airlines or someone is trying to revive buying up all the A380s. I think from China Southern or somewhere. So the operators are like from Korea to operators Asiana and Korean Air, then China Southern. Thailand, Thai Airways, Malaysian Airways, Singapore Airlines, then Etihad, Qatar, Emirates, in the Middle East and Gulf, and then European coming to Air France, Lufthansa, British Airways, and no American operator operates the Airbus A380, because American, they felt that the point-to-point model is more viable now, and hub and spoke model is not viable. The main reason why so the key 3 reasons why Airbus A380 would not really go so far commercially is because 3 reasons. Hub and spoke model envisaged change to a point-to-point model because of the newer aircraft like A350, 787, and and that's one reason. And filling the aircraft to a capacity of more than anywhere from 500 to 600 people is very difficult. The second reason is 4 engines, so a lot of fuel consumption and environmental impact. And third thing is the maintenance cost and all this stuff, staff costs. There need to be 20 people aboard the aircraft, because in the first class the service is like, and the business class, which is on the top floor, the service is just impeccable. First class, for example, in Emirates they get Dom Perignon, and because Emirates has a tie-up with unveiled, VMH, and vintages wine, so Dom Perignon, Plenitude 2, I think is out. They are very special, and then the food is served, and and the seat is great. And in Etihad you have the one room residence. I think they call the other one the routine first class is apartment. So Emirates, I think, has 14 first class seats. Different airlines have different configurations. Singapore has 6 first class seats, and 2 of them can open between each other. That means if a couple is flying, or if 2 friends, or they want to be together, they can open up the boundary between them. And different airlines have different configurations for first class, because Emirates 14, and Singapore is only 6, and then like this. And then now Emirates is refurbishing all of its fleets, like A380. I think 2 billion or 3 billion they are investing in that refurbishing, and they'll make their A380 still better. So the reason A380 works for Emirates is because it's a hub and spoke model, because it gets people from the world to Dubai, and then from Dubai hub, it flies them to other places. So it's a huge hub and spoke, and the advantage for Dubai is within 8 hours of Dubai, 2/3 of the world population is there, because you have India, China, then all the populous Asian countries, and then Europe, and then America. So all these make almost 2/3 of the world population within about 8 hours, 4 to 8 hours of flying. That's the reason it worked very well for Emirates. Otherwise, maintaining and managing Airbus A380 is extremely challenging. During
of service. They will not get from them, because after COVID, many were these A380s were lying in the boneyards, or in for example, the Arizona desert, and I think in California, Mojave Desert in Nevada or somewhere. There are it's called a graveyard of aeroplanes. So almost all major carriers park their planes there. Then there is one in Teruel in Spain. So they didn't bring it back from service because running an A380 is very, very challenging, expensive. It's not as easy. So finally, a fantastic aircraft, and I don't know if it were commercially successful, we would have seen more of them. But of course, not to worry, maybe a decade or something. Because Emirates they have to get a new replacement aircraft. The A380 will be around for a decade or maybe more, until Emirates and other key operators start resigning them, and that will be the end of their career, so to speak. So that's about briefly about some points about the